to go ahead and just kick us off. Hopefully we'll see even more individuals come online, but I want to be respectful to our organizations that are joining us tonight and reporting out. So welcome to our January Gathering Women event. I am Jody O'Neill. I am one of the co-chairs of the E&E committee. You'll see Kari Miller. She's the other co-chair. And we are also part of our board of directors. So as I said earlier, Happy New Year's to all of you. I'm excited to be kicking off the first event of 2021. So before we get started, I do want to make sure that we do a little bit of housekeeping here on getting situated on Zoom. So if you could please make sure that you mute your line. We want to make sure that we have no background noise and we have less distraction. So that way you can hear our presenter. So your mute button should be on the bottom of your screen, I believe. So I'm sorry, with me presenting, I can't see the normal icon. So I don't know exactly where it is, but I'm assuming it's on the bottom of your screen. In order to get the most from tonight's presentation, if you can on the far top right, you potentially might be able to click on view and put it into speaker view versus gallery. That'll allow you to see who's actually speaking. So again, it just is a better view for you. And then lastly, if you have a questions, you're going to hear tonight from two different organizations. And if you have any questions, I would ask that you would submit them to me. So what you can do is you can use the chat feature and you can actually then find my name. And then just when you see my name in the drop down, just go ahead and enter your question and send it to me. So hopefully I'll be able to navigate that just because, like I said, I'm showing my screen at the same time. So hopefully I can see those chats. Otherwise, I will just call out and ask for questions. What we're going to do is we will have one organization present. We'll ask just a couple questions or have the group ask some questions. We'll come back, the other organization, and then we'll have plenty of time at the end to be able to ask questions as well. All right, so tonight you're going to hear from two of our grantees. You're going to hear from Kip Minnesota as well as Cristo on what they did with the grant monies that they received from Giving Women. So we're going to go ahead and get this party started. I've asked each of the organizations to tell you a little bit about who they are, the population that they serve, an overview of the intent of the grant that they received from Giving Women, how it was used, any results that they potentially have. And then lastly, I've also asked each organization to talk a little bit about the impact of COVID and how it's impacted them. After each, like I said, we'll take a few minutes for questions. So let's go ahead and start with KIPP Minnesota. So let me tell you a little bit about KIPP. The mission of KIPP Minnesota is together with families and communities to create joyful, academically excellent schools that prepare students with skills and confidence to pursue the paths they choose, college, career, and beyond, so they can lead fulfilling lives and build a more just world. Their vision is that every child grows up free to create the future they want for themselves and for their communities. KIPP Minnesota is a network of free, open environment public charter schools with a track record of helping students of color overcome institutional barriers to a quality education. Tonight, we have three representatives, and actually we only have two. We just found out somebody cannot call in. Sorry, that is my dog. We have three representatives from KIPP Minnesota with us tonight to share their story. And like I said, unfortunately, Shayna was not able to make it. We have Alison Ford, their Director of Development. Shayna, unfortunately, like I said, their Executive Director is not here. And then we also have Sarah Baraki. And Sarah, I hope I pronounce your name correctly. She's our Vice President, or their Vice President of Talent, Culture, and KIPP through college. You probably recognize Alison's name as she has been a member of Giving Women since 2018. KIPP received a grant of $10,000 from Giving Women. So just a reminder, if you have questions as you hear Alison present, as well as Sarah, please let me know via chat. And with that, Alison, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'm going to mute myself in case my dog decides to bark again.
Wonderful. Well, good evening. It's nice to be visiting with all of you. Thank you for having us. As Jody said, I'm Alison Ford. I have been with KIPP for 8 years. This is actually our second grant from Giving Women. The first time we received a grant also for KIPP Through College program, we were able to have folks come to our campus. Maybe some of you were able to join us. Kari planned that event, and we had a panel of alumni who spoke. And those are always the fun events when you get to hear actually from our alumni who have been at our school and subsequently been supported by Sarah and her team. Unfortunately, in the remote environment, you get Sarah and myself, but we are really grateful for the support of Giving Women. We have grown dramatically since we started the program and since you all first supported us. This grant was primarily to support an additional advisor in the KIPP Through College program. And I'm going to let Sarah talk to you a little bit about an overview of the program, really how those advisors work with students and the impact they are having on students. So let me hand it over to Sarah.
Awesome. Thank you, Allison, and thank you, Jody, for the introduction, and thank you to Giving Women for all of the support over the years. So again, Sarah Baraki. I oversee many functional areas of KIPP Minnesota, but my favorite is the KIPP Through College and Career program. My background is in higher education, and that is my true love when it comes to education and supporting students to and through college and career. So today, I will talk a little bit more about the intent of the grant and kind of where we're at, but I did want to quickly share what we do, why we do it, and who we do it for as a refresher. And then for anyone who hasn't heard it before, might be helpful in understanding our program a little bit more. So in terms of the why, in the US, 1 out of 10 low-income students across the country graduate from college with a degree. That's a 4-year college or a 2-year college. Compared to higher income peers, so students who are highest income, that's the highest quartile across the country. Excuse me, like starting to lose my voice, but I'll make it through this. 8 out of 10 of the highest income peers graduate with a college degree. So 1 out of 10 low income, 8 out of 10 highest income. So there's a huge disparity there. Majority of the families that we support at KIPP, not just at KIPP Minnesota, but across the country, are low-income students. We're talking about over 90% of our families. And so prior to the KIPP Through College and Career programs, you can imagine that most of our students were in that 10%, the 1 out of 10. With KIPP Through College and Career support, our KIPP alumni are 3 to 4 times more likely to get a college degree. And that is evidenced by several years of KIPP Through College and Career support. And so we know something we're doing is right, and that there's still more work to do. And that's why KIPP exists, is to provide education and support to students so they can continue to excel and to reduce those inequities in education. What we always say is we're not here to push students into college. We are here to help students reach their highest aspirations, whatever that is. So be it college, a specific career, starting their own business, and we have students who do all of those things and more. So in terms of the who are our students? Majority of our students are from Minneapolis, specifically North Minneapolis. Over 95% of our alumni identify as Black or African American. Our students are passionate, excited, gifted young people, and currently in our program, we are serving 417 alumni. So we are growing, and we are growing quickly. And the more schools that KIPP Minnesota opens over the years, the more alumni we'll have to support. And we do support students starting in 8th grade all the way through their senior year in college. If our students decide not to go to college, we support them for up to 6 years after they graduate from high school. In terms of what we do, so we have several aspects of our program that we're probably not going to have time to get into today, but we do support every KIPP student that completes 8th grade with us. And so they receive college and career support starting in 8th grade, They receive consistent support from us throughout high school. We do high school placement. We help students transition into high school. We help them monitor their credits and make sure they're on track to graduate. And then when students are in 11th and 12th grade, that's when we start to help them with applications, preparing for ACT, SAT sometimes, and helping them prepare for what's post high school. It's a lot of fun. It's also very stressful because they feel like this is the biggest decision of their life. And we try to explain to them that there are bigger decisions coming, but that we're here to support them throughout all of it. So we do college match in 11th and 12th grade. And then we also support students through college. And so with the grant, we were able to grow our team. So we're able to add an advisor, have more capacity to provide more in-depth students. We are in touch with our students every month. And by growing our team, we were able to go from a 37% engagement of our students to almost 80%, which is great. We're at 79 point something at this point. And our goal is to get over that 80 this year and just continue to grow that number. So thanks in part to your contributions and your support of us, we were able to do that and grow our team. We're also hoping that there's a lot more we can do in the future. So especially post-pandemic, which includes college visits and students being able to do tours. Right now, we have the capacity to help students get onto campuses that are within a 3-hour drive from the Twin Cities, but a lot of our students are considering schools out of state. So we want to be able to support them and their parents in being able to get there and take a look at the school. We want to do more workshops and career summits for our alumni to help them explore their options and network and engage with folks in the community. So those are some things that we plan on doing. I'm sure folks are interested in learning a little bit about what is going on during COVID with our alumni as well. And while there's a laundry list of things and situations, for the most part, our alumni have been able to get the support that they need. It has been a transition for them, but our students in college, for example, no longer have access to on-campus supports. So one thing that we noticed was a lot of them were using the technology in the libraries or the technology in their dormitories and residence halls. And so we had to do a lot of digging and connecting our students to resources at the beginning of the pandemic to make sure that they had the right technology and could work from home, study from home. Counseling services weren't available at the beginning of the pandemic, and a lot of our students were accessing those on campus. And then social activities that made their campus feel like home were just not available. And so a lot of students were feeling isolated, and we definitely connected them to some mental health resources, but also just tried to create communities online for them to join and connect with other alumni and encourage them to do the same in other non-KIPP environments. For our high school students, majority of them were able to receive technology from their high schools. There were a few where their high schools were delayed by several months in getting them the technology. And so we had a few Chromebooks that we've had for a few years at the KIPP Through College and Career Program that we loaned out to high school students and college students who were having issues getting technology elsewhere. And, as our team has grown, we really realized the importance of having a full team and having manageable caseloads. I think at the start of the pandemic, we were able to check in with outreach to every single alum every week to make sure that they had the resources they needed. And once we felt like, okay, they're on track, then we went back to our monthly contact and connecting with students as often as they needed support. And so some of the resources that we were able to connect them to, of course, technology and internet and that type of support, but also groceries, support, paying for rent, diapers for children, and just the other kind of basic necessities that were hard to access while things were shut down or while communities were kind of overbuying certain things in stores, and our students couldn't access them for a while due to supply chain issues. So that's just a little bit about kind of the intent of the grant, how we've used it, how it's helped us to grow our program, and how some of our students are doing.
Allison, any additional comments?
The only thing that I would add is the other person that we were hoping to have on was a parent, and unfortunately she's having a little bit of technical difficulties as well, but she is a parent of one of our alum, and that young lady worked with Sarah's team, Ajale, and worked with the high school transition advisor to figure out where is the best school for her, what will provide the best high school option, and where will she get the ongoing support to continue her education path. And I think it was by design, perhaps, but we are presenting tonight with Cristo Ray, which is where Ajale is now a senior. So I'm sorry that we don't have some input from her mom, but I do want to say that, you know, part of our work is partnerships, and we know that we can't do this work alone. So we rely on funders, and then we also rely on great partnerships with other similarly missioned organizations who want to see all students succeed and provide the best academic offering possible. So Cristo Rey is one of the schools that we try to send a lot of our students to because they've got a great program, and I obviously will let Michelle talk more in depth about that.
All right, well, thank you. I appreciate the overview that you provided as well as the information that you shared. I have not received any questions, so I guess I will ask one question, which is, how does a student hear about KIPP? You know, how do they become part of your program? What is your outreach?
Yeah, sure. We do outreach a number of ways, you know, like most things, family referrals are the best. You know, if we've got a family that is happy with our program and they feel their students are doing well, those are the best. But we also advertise and promote on social media. That's where we do a lot. We also do tables at various spots. We're still working on our plan for this fall, but we frequently are at festivals during the summer and have folks that are walking the neighborhood to recruit students. I will point out it is a public school. It's a public charter school, so there isn't an application process. We don't pick and choose students, but anyone who basically applies and registers, if we have room, we accept them. So yeah.
Right. I did get one question, which is, how many students does one advisor support in the KIPP through college program?
Yeah, so about 130 students. Our cap will be 175, which is probably the lowest that we've seen across the country, but there were times where our program here in Minnesota had about 200 or maybe about 250 per advisor when we were a much smaller team. So
that's a lot of students to try to support by one person. Well, thank you. Okay, well, I think I do not have any other questions. So by all means, if anyone does have any questions that you want to send in to me, please feel free to do so. I think what I will do now is let's hear from Cristo Ray. So bear with me here. I'm going to share my screen again. All right, here we go. All right, so tonight we have two representatives from Cristo Ray. We have Michelle Dillon, the Grants and Foundations Officer, as well as Emily Bird, the Dean of Curriculum and Instruction. So let me tell you a little bit about Cristo Ray. We already heard Allison, talk about the fact that you had a referral to Cristo Ray. They are a Jesuit high school that provides access to a Catholic Jesuit college and career preparatory education to unlock the potential of students of any culture, faith, or creed to transform our communities. They work to enhance educational equity and narrow educational achievement and opportunity gaps for students of color. Their students earn a college preparatory education and 4 years of professional work experience in their corporate work study program. The students receive support through college and have access to a host of sports, extracurriculars, and activities. They're excited to be here tonight to share their story. Cristo Ray received a grant of $10,000 from Giving Women. So Michelle, I'm going to turn it over to you and Emily.
Great, thank you so much. Hi, everybody, good evening. I'm very impressed by this wonderful bunch of ladies, so happy to be here. And thank you so much for the support offered last year. The grant went to our advanced placement program, which Emily Bird is our Dean of Curriculum, and she will touch on the details of the academic program and our AP program. But I am going to speak with you just about the Cristo Rey's, our model, and who we serve. So Cristo Rey, similar to KIPP, Cristo Rey belongs to a network of 37 schools across the country. Our headquarters are in Chicago. And all Cristo Rey schools have three things in common. One is that we are all Catholic. And that said, we do not only serve Catholic students. I believe it's about 2/3 Catholic, but we enroll students from all faith backgrounds. The second thing is that all of our students work. We partner with 100 companies across the Twin Cities, and our students go to school or go to work for 5 full days each month, and they become prepared for careers. And then the third thing is that all of our students across the country are underserved or under-resourced in some way. Our admissions team has income limits that students and their families cannot exceed. So those are kind of the overarching commonalities of all the Cristo Reys, and that said, they're all very different as well. At Cristo Rey Twin Cities, we have 4 major programs. The first is our college preparatory academic program. We have 10 AP classes. I believe we have 27 or 28 teachers, rigorous coursework, and the idea is to ensure that our students, although coming in behind academically, gain access to opportunities and coursework and rigor that perhaps they would not receive elsewhere. The second program is our corporate work study program. Typically, we partner with 110, 120 law firms, hospitals, nonprofits, banks, businesses, corporations across the Twin Cities. This year is a bit of an exception. I think we're at about 90 companies, but all of our students work. Many of them are working virtually from home or virtually from school this year. And they are gaining all kinds of skills across a variety of industries. The third program is our college success program, similar to KIPP as well. We have 2 full-time college counselors and 2 full-time alumni counselors, and they support our grads with a variety of things through college. And the 6th year, it's 6 years past for our supports as well. And then our fourth is just a host of sports activities, extracurriculars that students can pursue. We have robotics, we have student-led diversity groups, all of the sports that you could think of, not football, and lots of different just extracurriculars, drama, choir. So those are kind of our major programs. Our school is fully enrolled. We've been fully enrolled for about, I think, 3 or 4 years. We kind of max out around 500 students. And our students are, first of all, like wonderful and hardworking, and the pandemic has proved their resilience a million times over. Our students are 99% students of color, about 85% Hispanic Latino, high 85-ish% free and reduced lunch. And virtually all of our students will be the first in their family, or at least the first generation college students. And so we work with students and their families to really understand that process. In terms of COVID, I mean, I can't think of one program or person that hasn't been just deeply affected, obviously, but students and their families have, I would say, the barriers that they face and the inequities that they already faced coming in have been heightened. And so we have been working this year to tackle breaking down the barriers, right? So every student coming in this year received a high quality laptop. We went 1-to-1 at no cost to students. We went into homes and hooked them up with hotspots and wireless if they didn't have it. We are offering space in our facility as needed for students to come in to do their schoolwork or corporate work, study work. And then we have about, I think on average, between 225 to 250 families every week that are signing up for meal support, delivery, and grocery cards. And so our transportation and nutrition teams are delivering with our school fleet of shuttles. They are delivering lots and lots of meals to families still, which is not a typical part of our programming, might I add. So that's kind of the student and family COVID struggle. And then I guess organizationally, the struggle, the way that our model is set up for all Cristo Rays is that half of our funding comes from the companies that pay our students to work. And so as companies have been navigating their own budgets and their own workforces, many of them have been unable to commit to paid signed contracts for our students this year, which has resulted in a pretty significant one-time deficit for this year. And so as a result, we are very busy fundraising. Our sales team is very busy looking for jobs for students at companies. We shifted plans for a board-approved capital campaign that was going to launch right before COVID. We shifted plans for it's a 2-year resilience fund to kind of fill the revenue gaps, pay for the one-to-one transition, kind of ensure that the high quality programming and faculty and all of the supports that we offer does not drop for our students, and that we can hit the other side of COVID financially strong. So our donor community has just responded very well. We are very optimistic, but that's kind of the reality right now. So that was kind of a downer. I didn't mean it for it to go there. But I am going to let Emily Bird, our Dean of Curriculum Instruction, speak in a little bit more detail about our academic program, our advanced placement coursework, and some of the results and outcomes that this grant provided to us last year. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. I saw a couple of questions coming in the chat regarding the specifics of the grant, so I'll be speaking about that. So as it says on the slide, I'm the Dean of Curriculum and Instruction. So obviously I'm really involved with the AP program. I'm also the AP coordinator at the school. So I'm very involved in schedules, but also all of the AP testing, helping students sign up for these classes, encouraging them to do so. And I myself am a former AP teacher. So I'm excited to be here to talk about our school, which I love, and also our AP program, which I think is so important. I was an AP teacher at the Cristo Ray in Atlanta. I know we have some Atlanta people here, some students from Atlanta. So that's my Atlanta connection. So yeah, first of all, just like a huge thanks for the grant. As was mentioned in the chat, it was used for our AP course expansion, and specifically really what, and there are many costs associated with advanced placement courses, but the biggest one is testing. And we're really committed to all of our students who take an AP class taking the AP test at no cost to them. And so the grant really, it allowed us to do that. There are a number of reasons that we think it's important for students to take the test. Not all schools require students to take their AP tests, but first of all, the obvious one, so if a student takes an advanced placement course and scores high enough, they can earn college credit, and that's huge, right? That's a huge financial, there's a huge financial benefit to doing that. So there's for sure that. In the college admissions process, just having an AP course on your transcript is hugely helpful to students as well. And then I would say thirdly, just exposure to that rigorous content in an advanced placement class. Like we want that for as many of our students as is possible. Last year was a crazy year for AP testing because obviously students were not in school. So if any of you know students who've taken the advanced placement test before, you probably know they happen in May, and it's a huge deal. It's this time consuming 3 to 4 hour test. And usually that's over a 2-week period. So obviously with students not being in school in the spring, it was a big shift, and College Board pivoted. College Board is the organization that creates the advanced placement tests, and moved those tests online. So that was, we were not one-to-one yet. And so there were a lot of, I think teachers were nervous that students would not be able to log in, would not be able to take the tests. And that is just not what happened. So we had, I think 97% of our students, I have the stats somewhere, took the test, which really comes out to like 5 students who didn't out of we had around 180 students who took the test last year. On top of that, many of them encountered tech difficulties, as did students all across the nation taking these tests. I know of one student who is a very strong student who took the AP Calculus test, submitted her results, she thought. So she got that big sigh of relief, I'm done, I submitted them. And then it turns out they didn't go through. Like, how devastating. And after she graduated, this is what she did. She took it again. That's how committed she was to doing it, because it hadn't gone through and she passed it. So just one example of, our students' persistence, and exciting. It was a frustrating experience for her, but she came out with that passing score, which was super exciting for her. So there's a lot to celebrate from our AP program last year. Like I said, all of our students took the test, which was great. We were in the beginning of this pandemic, and you would think AP tests would be maybe the last thing on a lot of people's minds in May and June of last year, and they did it. Many of them did it on their phones, actually, and College Board set it up that way so they could do it on their phones, but they did it on phones, they did it on tablets. Some of them did get devices from our school, but at the time we were not one-to-one, so it was kind of working on different devices. So they made it happen, which is great. Last year, 36% of our students enrolled in one of our 10 AP classes, which is a huge number. This year it's even more, it's 40%, which if you think about it, most students who take AP classes are 11th and 12th graders. So for 40% of our students to be taking an AP class, that means like most of our 11th and 12th graders are in at least one AP class, which is just fantastic. I think the only other thing I wanted to mention, well, just a couple other celebrations from last year. So our students exceeded the average pass rate for AP tests in a few subject areas, which is exciting and great. Those included AP World History, and then both AP Spanish Language and Culture and AP Literature and Culture. In those 2 courses, our students do amazing. I mean, they're just great. They score like mostly 5s, but they also did especially well in World History. And actually, we had the highest pass rates last year of any year we've had, which is also amazing, right? In the middle of the pandemic, our students pulled off like the highest AP scores they'd had. So it's something to celebrate in what is an otherwise pretty horrible year. Michelle spoke a little bit about the impact of COVID on our school, which is obviously huge. I would just add, this year we are all remote. Michelle mentioned we do have some students coming into the building, and that is a small number of students who we're working to support, because, learning from home is just not, they're just not able to engage in class at home in the way we want them to, or they want to. But that's a small number of students. It's like less than 40 a day. So we've been remote like most schools in the Twin Cities area. And our teachers are working really hard to be creative and flexible with students. We've shortened our number. This is just one example. So we've shortened the number of hours students are in classes so that we can have more flexible opportunities on either side of classes before and after to meet with them individually in small groups, because learning online and navigating technology is tremendously difficult. So just being able to give students that extra time to, sort of address misunderstandings has been really helpful to our students. Yeah, I think that's all I have regarding the AP program. I'm sure I spoke about it more than you maybe wanted to hear about the AP program, but I'm happy to field any questions you have about our school as well.
Well, thank you. I'm just looking at the questions here to see. So thank you for spotting those questions. I appreciate that. Does anyone, I don't have any additional questions that have come in. So are there any questions from the
Can
group?
I add one thing about just access and AP before we do the final questions? I am a little bit of a data nerd. This is Michelle again from Cristo. I am kind of a data nerd, and every spring when AP results are released in July, I look at nationwide results just out of curiosity. And the past few years, I have checked this data that if you look at every single student in the country that takes an AP class, 5% of them are African American or Black, and 10% of them are Latino or Hispanic. And so there's this huge discrepancy in just like access to AP and opportunity to even just take the class, enroll in the class, and like sit in the class and take the test. So we are very grateful that we are able to have anybody in these classes, and we are bringing those numbers up just a little bit. But it's in addition to the testing, it's the access and the opportunity to just enroll. So
well, it's an opportunity to earn some college credits, right?
And
yeah. So
all of it. Mm-hmm.
So what on average would you say? Because I heard you say, did I hear you say like you offer 10 or 12 AP courses? Yeah, how many, just give us a sense, that average student that takes some of the AP courses, how many college credits do they walk out of your program with?
That's a great question. That's an Emily question.
It depends. I mean, our pass rate is, I'm celebrating it. It's still not like really high. Like it's in, our strongest classes. Well, no, okay. Our Spanish classes are like amazing. They're like 100% pass rates, and they definitely earn college credits. Great. Those are hard tests. I'm not meaning to like they're hard tests, and our students, they dominate them basically. But for most of our other subject areas, a high passing rate would be like 40% of students who are in the class would receive a 3 or higher. That question about college credits is a little harder to answer because it's really dependent on the school. Like for example, like U of M might say like for a 4 or 5 on AP Calc, we'll give you credit. Whereas like another school might decide to give it for a 3, 4, or 5. So 3 is kind of the bare minimum for a school. That the score of 3 is like you must meet. And then some schools have higher thresholds for giving that college credit.
Okay. I did have a question come in. One of our members wants to know if you guys have a music program, either instrument or choral.
We do have a choir, and they are wonderful. We have a great choir director who's also an English teacher. And they're not really operating. She is teaching choir as a course, but our school-wide choir is not happening as it would in a regular year. And we also have a yearly musical we put on. We don't have an instrumental. We don't have a band or orchestra, but we do a like spring musical every year.
Okay. Wow. All right, members, any other questions for our presenters? Okay, I do have one question here. The question was, what percent of their high school students go on to college versus the percent of the Minneapolis public school students?
Oh, what a great question. So our average in college enrollment rate the fall after our students graduate, over the last 4 years, the average is 85%. Nationwide, the average for our demographic is about 51, 53%. I don't know the Minneapolis public school. That's great. That would be great for me to look up. But I do know that our direct college enrollment, the fall after graduation, is something that we're very proud of, and that is consistently high. And we work very hard, the college counselors work very hard to ensure that that they will enroll immediately after graduation. So.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have any questions for either KIPP Minnesota or for Cristo Ray? And you don't even have to send me a chat. You can just take yourself off of mute and you can ask the question directly. More than happy to listen to you. Okay, it doesn't sound like it. So I think I will, I'll keep our program moving along. How about that? So thank you. Thank you to Allison, to Sarah, to Michelle, and to Emily for being here tonight and for sharing your story. As our members can see, both are amazing organizations that are doing great work that is truly impacting the community that we're all part of. So as you know, the mission of Giving Women is to make an impact on our community. So we do this through collective giving. So tonight we have a wonderful opportunity to once again make even more of an impact to these two organizations through our service arm of Giving Women. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Maren Weber. She's one of our members, and she'll tell you a little bit more about an opportunity that Giving Women members have tonight. So Maren, I'm just going to share my screen again. Whoops, sorry. There we go. All right, Maren, the floor is yours, and you just tell me when you want me to move forward to the next slide.
Okay, perfect. And I'll take myself off of mute so you can all hear me. Yeah, a few years ago, we had many of our members just express interest in doing something additional. When we come to these meetings, they're so inspirational. We learn a lot, and we want to give more if possible. And a lot of times these great and wonderful, vital organizations have plenty of opportunities for volunteerism and other giving. So we've in the past served at People Serving People. We've gotten together as a tiny group and helped serve food to toddlers at the Minneapolis Crisis Nursery and other things. So we've had great turnout and a lot of interest. Of course, this year is a little bit different. We can't meet in person, but there's some creative and exciting ways that we can further assist. So I want to do it justice. So Michelle or Allison, please jump in if I don't get it right. But one of the things that we can do, Michelle mentioned that Cristo Jesuit High School, of course, supports students through student literacy through a vibrant independent reading program in both Spanish and English classes. So if you would like to support their independent reading book, you can click on the wish list on the slide here. There's a link in English and Spanish. She mentioned that these wish lists are you can get these books obtained through Black Garnet Books, which is currently the only Black-owned bookstore in Minnesota. So purchases will also support this new local business. And also, if you have a desire to support KIPP, Allison has mentioned that a lot of times these college kids, as they prepare for college, have had care packages prepared for them as they go off to college. Since they were able to put together an Amazon wish list, now the kids can specifically assemble get exactly what they need, the specifics that they need if they're college bound. So you can also visit that link that we provided here and contribute in that way. And we'll also make this available through email and communications too. But take a look at that, and if you so desire, this can be your way of giving volunteer service and a little bit more.
Thank you, Maren. And as Maren mentioned, we'll go ahead, we will have our communications group actually send out these links to our entire membership population, so that this is an opportunity, like I said, to just do a little bit more for these well-deserving organizations. So Allison and Michelle, thank you for putting together these lists for us. As you will find, we're a generous group of individuals here. All right, so with that, thank you, Maren, by the way. Before I let you go, I want to tell you about two of our upcoming events. Whoops, hold on here. I'm just trying to forward my screen. Here we go. We have 2 events that are coming up. So both will take place over Zoom, unfortunately, due to COVID. But we want you to go ahead and please mark your calendar. So the first one is our winter meeting. It's going to be on Tuesday, February 23rd at 6:30 p.m. And as you can see, our grantee report out will be from Little Brothers Friends of the Elderly. And also exciting that night, remember that is the night that we announce our grantees for the year. So our 2021 grantees will be announced that evening. So what does that mean? That means you need to vote. As of lunchtime today, we had about 46 of our members actually vote for our 2021 grants. So make sure there was an email. The first email that went out was on January 14th. So please check your email. I think there's been a couple more since. But you have until midnight, February 1st to cast your vote. The second event will be our last report out for our 2019 grantees. And remember, we normally hold these as small group meetings, so there'll be another gathering like we did tonight. It's Thursday, March 18th at 6:30 p.m. and you will hear from Guild Inc. as well as Treehouse. From there, our 2021 planning is well underway. We are in the process of looking at our grantees that we had in 2020 to start our report outs in 2021. We're looking at when we can have our annual meeting. We're already talking about our eye opener. So members, please continue to watch our newsletter and you will get links for both the winter meeting and the Gathering Women event in March, shortly before those events. All right, so with that, we miss seeing you in person. We hope that we're going to be getting together live and in person soon. So we ask that you please stay well, stay healthy, stay safe, and have a great evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.